Okay, you had some time to think about Marys versus Surmilas. So which one of them would be more valuable customer, where value is defined as likely to make more donations in the next five opportunities? All right. In fact, I would like a show of hands from you over there. So if you think Mary is the one who will be more valuable in the future, raise your hand. Okay. Great. Now, for those who think that the Sharmila would be more valuable one, let's see them. Okay. And if you think that it will be a tie, or Sharmila will be more, will be more, Mary will be more. No one goes for a tie, right? And I mean, this is seriously. And if we are in this analytical space, and is your job as a consultant, a vendor firm is hired to score which in the customer database which one is more valuable and rank them. If we set this to a tie, it would make sound like we don't know what we're talking about or we don't know what we're doing. So it's interesting that we don't like ties. And all right, so let's talk about Marys versus Urban. So it's interesting to see that I saw none, but but most of the hands go for Mary. Although, for those of you who did vote for Surmila, let's go back. Let's go back. And this is not very simple. Obviously, we think Surmila would be better because you count up and, she made five, she made, one, first five donations. And if you went to this nonprofit or company, say, oh, here's a customer who made four purchases, that is Mary, and five purchases, that is Surmila, which one do you think is more valuable? People are going to give you a funny look. Well, it's kind of obvious, isn't it? I'm going to take 5 over 4 any time. And most of you who didn't vote for Sharmila, most of you voted for Mary. And why is that? How can it be the case that someone who actually missed two donation opportunities might be more valuable than someone who missed only one? And of course, the answer to that question, if you can say, in front of this camera right now, because it's not only a function of how many donations did they make, how many opportunities did they miss, but it's the more important to take into account when they made or missed those opportunities. Yes, you see with Mary, it's true that she missed two times, but in both cases she came back afterwards. But for Surmila, that zero at the end there, that might mean more than just oops, I forgot. It might mean that she is no longer there or doesn't like our organization anymore, or she doesn't want to deal with us. It might mean that she doesn't like this particular service that we provide. It might mean that she moved away. It might mean that she died. I mean, I don't know, but there can be all kinds of reasons. So this zero that we see at the Surmila might not be just oops. It might be that she is gone and she is not coming back. So for you, those who voted for Mary over Surmila, you're looking at this zero and saying that zero at the end for Surmila carries a lot of weight. In fact, it carries more weight than two zeros that we saw for Mary. And if you think through that logic, if you voted for Mary over Surmila, what did you just invent in this process? Well, if you think about it, what we spoke a short time ago, remember RFM? Recency, frequency, and monetary value. Let's put the M aside for the time being because we don't know about it. But what you're doing here is you're breaking the tie between R and F. You should basically say, if you voted to Mary, you said, I would value recency over frequency. And there's if you see Mary just now, it's reasonable that she's still alive, and that's why our forefathers of the direct marketing called it RFM, because they noticed time and again that recency was more important than frequency, which was more important than monetary value. And basically, all of you voted Mary, basically reinvented that wheel. And it's a great recognition that recency and frequency are the two most key summary statistics. In some sense, I don't even care about the particular combination of the zeros and the ones. If you could just tell me when the last one occurred and how many ones there were, that's all I need to know. That's going to be enough for me to make some trade-offs between Marys and the Surmilas. And if we go a step further, there's a great example, where we're not necessarily trusting the data. We're looking at the data as an indication of something that's going on below the surface of the data. In other words, recency and frequency are nice to know, but more importantly, they're indicators of the true unknown phenomenon or propensities of people to make purchases or drop out or do other kinds of things. And it's those underlying unobservables that allows us to make decisions. And that's exactly what I'm talking about here. Look at someone, say Mary, and say, you know, we know she's of course alive, right? Sharmila, we're not sure. So suppose in the we see that zero, and we in the sort of Sharmila, and we ask ourselves, did she just miss one, or is she gone forever? Is he a dormant customer who is gonna come back, or is he a lapsed customer who is really gone forever? And this is where we can't necessarily trust the data to answer that question for us. Again, it can be some good indication. We need to tell a story about the stuff that's going to be below the surface of the data in order for us to do it, really understand what allows us to make these long-term projections. All right, so let's compare Chris over Mary and Chris over here. I don't want you to caught up in just one of them, one Chris or one Mary. I want you to think about general type of pattern, overall pattern here, and who would be more valuable, this Mary or Chris? So take a moment and think about it. Look over the pattern and think about what's relevant here, and tell me, would you go for Mary in terms of which one's likely to make more purchases in the future, or would you go with Chris? Or would you just say they're the same? So think about for a second, and I'll jump right. What do you extract from each of these patterns to determine how they compare with each other? And I'm going to read the answer here. It's 1 0 1 0 1 1 1 1 0 1 1 0 1 1. Well, since Chris was acquired, he has 2 zeros, and Mary also has 2 zeros. I think Chris is gonna go 1 0 and then 2 ones and like this. Well, I don't really think people say, okay, I gave this year, I gave 2 years, I'm gonna skip a year, or I didn't give last year, let me go give money for 2 years. I don't think people think it that way. I mean, it's just more chaos and this random noise than people just making that kind of conscious decision. So don't read into that specific pattern too much. The appropriate summary statistic that's gonna tell me something is really not this pattern, but that recency and frequency that's more important.